My name is Amanda Dunn, and this is my mentoring story. Going into mentoring, it was really about the money. I had been in college for a semester and was coming to the realization that I needed a good income. My friend at the time was already working as an A-level mentor at the MAC, and she suggested that I apply for a position. After some refreshing, I submitted my application, took the evaluation, and completed an interview. The more I went through that process of applying, I realized that the job was a great fit for me. I had always been good at math, so that part was not a problem. The job would also couple well with my education degree. I also wanted to bring some creativity and differentiated teaching to the MAC floor, using my art background. Going into mentoring, I was nervous about getting wrong answers. I was afraid that I would lead a student in the wrong direction and that they would do poorly in their classes. I didn't want to look like that freshman who is only pretending to understand the content. I didn't want to be seen as lacking knowledge or understanding. As I got into actually working as a mentor, I had to learn to be okay with asking questions. I was not okay with giving students a potentially wrong way to solve a problem, so I had to develop a frame of mind that allowed for teamwork with my fellow mentors. It was probably the biggest thing that I learned through that first semester. Then going into my second semester of mentoring, I was confident asking questions of others. I no longer got outrageously nervous when I didn't know an answer. I just learned to learn along with the students sometimes. I also had to learn how to balance all the people that came to the MAC the fall semester. The numbers are always higher, and I found myself confronted with 16 students with their hands raised, and me the only one in my section. I had to keep track of many faces coming in and out, varying levels of understanding, and multiple classes of information. It was truly a test of endurance. This semester also offered a chance for growth in working with different kinds of students. With a massive influx of students every day, I worked with students who were from places all over the world, having different levels of understanding of English and American customs. That being said, many of them needed help outside of simple mathematics. They needed, to varying extents, what Douglas Gufrida referred to as other mothers. They needed to be pushed and told that they can do it. Because of this, I had to learn how to balance math with social and emotional connections with students. It is something that I am still working to master. By third semester, I considered myself some sort of expert. I knew the layout, I'd been through a full semester, and I'd worked with many types of students. But then a new case came along. For the sake of this story, we'll call him Terry. He was an adult learner, coming back to college to pursue his degree. He was placed in the most basic math class offered at IUPUI because it had been a while since he took a math class. I watched as he journeyed through what Carol Caswin refers to as the acts of hope for adult learners. He had overcome Act 1 by being admitted to college and starting classes. I saw him struggle to keep up with his current job and schoolwork. He fell asleep during sessions and had trouble concentrating. This is part of the second act of hope, renegotiation. As his life continued to develop around him, his college experience changed. He had to balance much more than me with my part-time scholarship job and class load. Although I could not see the sources of his struggles with classwork, they were obviously present. He was outgoing enough that his emotions showed through as he worked and tried to negotiate his math class. He often expressed frustration with his professor, the online math homework tool called Math Labs Plus, and his little mistakes as he worked. I had to figure out how to help him through math as well as his emotions. He often needed space. I had to encourage him to take breaks so that he didn't overwork himself, as he often spent many hours in the Mac, growing gradually more frustrated. I continue to grow every semester. in part because of UCOL. I have learned basic techniques that I can apply when I tutor and when I become a teacher after graduation. Especially notable are the CATs, which have given me new ways to evaluate learning. By using less formal types of CATs with my Mac students, I can gauge how well they are understanding the material. I use things like muddiest point informally by asking students where they are stuck with a particular problem. I also use some to assess where students are before we start working on a problem. I ask them what they already understand, prompting them through the more difficult parts. For them to be able to tell me any small step is a victory for them and easier for me. Another skill came from a combination of learning in UCOL, learning from experience, and learning from my education blocks. I had to learn how to work with students with different disabilities or struggles. I had to figure out how to communicate with one student this semester who was deaf. Thanks to my time in UCOL and education classes, I could see past her disability and learn how to work with her. I also have worked with a few ESL students who needed to know what the problem means before we could even go into the math. Overall, mentoring has been a great experience for me. I've learned valuable skills that I can take into my own classroom and life after graduation. It has taught me how to see the strengths in students who don't believe they have any strengths to give. It has helped me be able to see strengths in myself that I didn't know I had, like adapting in new situations and teaching new methods. And I still love seeing that spark when a student understands. It's a great place to be.